that you're holding in your hand there?
Ooh, don't worry about my little sweet
Welcome
niece.
back to the Big Talk podcast with Chris and Greg. This is Chris.
This is Greg.
This is Black Sabbath. This is Master of Reality. This is album number 3. And, hey, man, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It's been a couple weeks. We're back.
Yes.
We are back for the attack.
You.
Cheers to us. Let's do it.
All right.
This is the one thing we can do when it's recorded.
Cheers.
You know, we were, all the news with Black Sabbath, the reunion show.
Yes.
They're gonna play again. We'll see.
The last show in July.
Wheel Ozzy out there and... Whoops, sorry, dude. I did.
You pulled a Greg.
I pulled a Greg. Let me get my feet under here. I pulled a Greg. Your shot's still good. Hold on. Let me, hold on. I fucked it all up, dude. All right. There we go. We can fix that in editing.
All right.
My bad. That's when the screen will go... and it'll come back. Greg will be right back in the middle of the screen. Oh my God, dude. Everything I've ever yelled at Greg for, I just did.
After 190 episodes, he's finally yelling at himself.
Finally came back to me. But with all the news of Black Sabbath, gonna do the last show in England, so on and so forth, all the things they're gonna do. We were like, man, we gotta talk about some Black Sabbath, and everybody does the first album. Everybody does Paranoid. Let's go for one of these other albums.
Yeah, that was something different. I told Chris, let's pick up, Master of Reality, Volume 4. I think it was Sabotage, and I think Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. And I said, take a quick listen.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite? And we kind of, after a week, I texted him, and I go, hey, man, this is Master of Reality just is calling me. And he goes, me too.
Yeah.
So we decided to do Master of Reality.
Yes, not Masters. People say Masters of Reality, and I just got to bust out this one right here.
Oh,
dude.
damn.
And it depends. If I really don't like you, you get the back.
All right.
But if I really hate you, you get the chop.
Ooh.
I don't really give the open hand slap anymore.
Okay.
I kind of retired that one. All right, let's get right into it. We heard the cough at the beginning of it. Sweetly, the ode to sweet, sweet Mary Jane here.
Hell yeah.
One of their classic songs, one of their signature songs.
This is definitely a signature song for Black Sabbath. Definitely killer. So when was the album released? The first time?
Ooh, 71.
71.
We're going to go August 6, 1971.
Got it.
Right here. I got it right here. I remember it all. Yeah. So this, I would say, with Black Sabbath, the first album I ever heard was the Paranoid album.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people, that's their first introduction. If you didn't grow up in that era, I didn't grow up in it.
I didn't either.
You were a baby. Neither of us did. That was the first I heard. And I've really grown to love their first album. I think their first album is just great. So it's hard for me to listen to their other albums and be like, oh, trying to compare them to these other great albums. But man, this one just continues their progression. And once you didn't think they could get any heavier, they did.
Oh, yeah, dude. It was totally that way. This definitely brought up a different sound for them. From doing my homework, one of the quotes from Bill Ward, the drummer, said this was an exploratory album where they took their time and explored how to be in the studio. And obviously it did a great job. There's a lot of down tuning. Tony was tuning his guitar, and it made a difference in the sound.
Yeah, they down tuned it 1.5 step, whatever that means. And basically, so they wanted to kind of explore a different sound, but he also had to detune because he's got the two nubby fingers.
Correct.
The two nubs, and so it was a little easier for him to play.
Correct. That's what I heard too. He was saying that it was a little less vibration in his fingers, and it felt it was easier for him to play.
Yeah. I got some more things I want to say about that song. That was Sweet Leaf. So I did a little extra research on top of the regular research. And that riff they do a side-by-side of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, a song called Hungry Freak Daddy, and it's basically the same song. Sounds almost exactly the same. The riff. Also, the riff in Sweet Leaf was used in a Beastie Boys song, Rhymin' and Stealin', over the top of the drum loop from Led Zeppelin's The Levee Breaks, When the Levee Breaks. And also, the Red Hot Chili Peppers Give It Away Now. At the very end of the song, their like passage right at the end is just straight rip off of Sweet Leaf, and it's an ode. The guitar player, John Frusciante, I think is his name, loved Black Sabbath, and it was kind of like his ode to Black Sabbath. Was kind of putting that at the end. Just
Wow, that's pretty
drop
cool.
a little dimes right there for you guys.
I like that.
Factoids, we call them here.
Yeah.
We call them factoids.
That's killer. So right now we have the song we're listening to is called After Forever, which definitely focuses on Christianity themes.
Yeah, dude.
You know, they took on their way of looking at it, it's just every time Black Sabbath was known for their dark themes, their satanic themes, and this time they focused on, dark imagery and dark sound and the dark lyrics, and it definitely worked.
You listen to this song, and it's Geezer Butler was gonna be a priest, like a Catholic priest or something like that. Is kind of what he wanted to be when he was younger.
Okay.
So he grew up, in the Catholic realm of things. And yes, this song is about when you die, who are you gonna look to? You gonna look to heaven, or are you gonna look for God? What are you gonna do when you die? The lines in here. Do you think you go somewhere when you die? Do you think you just sit in your coffin? There's a line. I don't want to mess up the quote. Do you imagine the Pope on the end of the rope or something like that? They're just, it's a twist on things, but this song is pure religion, pure about like, what do you think is going to happen to you when you die? And
Correct.
Are you going to hope that you did things better in your life because you might be going to hell?
Yes, definitely.
And no matter how much they're like, this is a song about, being good and doing good and being in the right place when you die. Didn't matter. It sounds dark. Ozzy sounds evil. That dark sound. They're going to hell.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on that.
I don't want to interrupt you. I got one more thing to say.
Okay.
You know what this song always reminds me of right now?
What is it?
So you told me life would never be this way. You broke a joke and your life is DOA. That song doesn't remind you of the Friends soundtrack, that whole breakdown right there?
No.
Every time I hear it, I sing the Friends freaking theme song.
Maybe some
Oh my God.
DJ artist, mixed it in and you heard it, dude, but
No.
I don't hear it.
Every single time. Well, now you're gonna hear it next time. You're gonna be singing on your.
We'll see.
If you were gonna be one of the characters from Friends, which one would you be?
Probably Chandler. I'm definitely not a Joey. I'm not an 80s man. So.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm a little bit of all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could be the Ross. I could be a Ross. I could be a Ross, or I could be a Chandler.
You could be a Ross. You could be a Ross. You're no Joey.
I'm no Joey.
You're no Joey, dude. I'm no Joey. This killer little guitar solo right here. Not bad.
Excuse me, Chris. Did you know that the critics hated this when it was released? They just tore it apart. They're like, this is crap.
See it right here.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't that remind you of Friends? It does. Every time you hear it now, it's going to be...
Tiny bit. I'm going to have to... I'll be there for you.
Yeah, they did hate it. But very rarely is an album that is considered great, ever considered great from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, they might say, oh, that's a good album. 4 stars. Or that's, but things grow into greatness. You have to, sometimes greatness is almost like a hindsight thing. You don't know how great something is until you look back.
Yeah. The critics hated this, but for being from 1971, man, it went double platinum, and that's what it was, I guess, today. And that's not bad, dude. I get the producer, Roger Bain, if I'm correct. This was his 3rd try with Black Sabbath, and man, those guys, man, they just kicked ass.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely. I think they were saying they had definitely more time to record this album and spend time experimenting than just recording and doing different things.
So I think their first album, they did it in 12 hours.
Yeah, I think so too.
Paranoid,
2 weeks?
1 week or 2 weeks?
I think
something
it was
like
2
that.
weeks that I read.
And this one, 3 months.
Yeah.
They had 3 months. So yes, they really had the time to explore what was going on. They really had a time to kind of check things out. They really had time to, you know.
Yeah. And to be honest, I love this. This is called Embryo.
Embryo.
And Tony just does a little thing. Him and Geezer it just kicks ass.
Yeah, I gotta disagree.
You didn't like that little.
You know what it reminds me of every time I hear it? It reminds me of like back in like the medieval times. There's like these jolly guys skipping through the courtyard playing their little acoustic instrument.
Like the jester.
And I'm just like, come on.
I don't know.
I don't get it. Okay, so on this album there are really 1, 2, 3, 6 songs. Six
Correct.
of the 8. 6 of the 8 are songs. And that one is just like 28 seconds. Was it placed there on purpose? Why not just make it the opening of Children of the Grave and just don't try to fake us out? Because that's not the only fake out. When they released it in the U.S., I don't know if you were going to bring this up, they tried to make it look like it had like 10 songs.
Yes.
11 songs on here, dude. And they just kept saying like
too.
little intros. Like, I got it all here, dude. It's like, okay, the intro to Ever After, or After Forever that we just heard before this, or 2 songs ago. 2 songs. The beginning, it was called The Elegy. And just a little like 25-second part of the song was named another song. And they've done that on their other albums too. I mean, I remember hearing Paranoid and kind of being like, what are these other songs that are on here? Because I don't even know what these are. You know, I would have to go back and look and see what the names of the songs are on the Paranoid album. I'm not really sure off the top of my head, but yeah, they've done that on a couple of their albums.
So for me, this song is called Children of the Grave.
Yes.
And this was the single of the album.
I love it.
And it really did well. I've always loved the song, but I thought, the differently, Children of the Grave, that just saying that word grave and children, you're like, oh my God, it's dark and satanic. But it's, what was this song really about?
You tell
darkness.
me. You tell me. I really didn't look much into the lyrics of this song, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Is this, go ahead.
I was going to say, Children of the Grave, about the human race to save the world from itself, was basically my thought on that one. Destruction and the change, and to make it better.
There you go.
On something like that. Nuclear war. That's you could say another one on that one. That's what they're saying. Well, people stand up against the financial war pigs is another one that I read on that one. So this is kind of like, they did war pigs on their previous album. This is another, I don't know, different look to it. We're saying on now, these are the people standing up against the war pigs. People against who the generals, the armies who just want to fight. This is the average day person standing up against them. This is their version of that. I don't know, I could say something like that, dude. Oh, you like that one? Now you're clapping, man.
You get the 80s slow clap. You get the 80s slow clap for that speech right there, dude. That was passion right there, dude.
Yeah, dude, definitely, man.
You pointed your little benty finger at me and everything, dude.
And on this album, this song too, Tony does synthesizer.
I love it, dude.
And that was one of the things that the experimenting that they did. Well, there's more other songs that are coming up where they try different instruments.
This always used to be like, so Sweet Leaf was always the calling card of this album.
Correct.
If you're a Black Sabbath in passing fan, whatever, or even a big fan, you're like, Sweet Leaf is the calling card of this album. I would say second to that is Children of the Grave. However, in the listening to this album that I have over the past, time that we've been getting ready, I have found that there's some other songs on this album that I find I love as much as Children of the Grave, but I find way more interesting. There's some other songs, like Solitude, I find that song so much more interesting.
Yes.
But it's like taking two things you can't compare. It's like apples and oranges. Solitude and this one you cannot compare. They're so different.
Yeah.
But it was a song that, unless you're listening to full albums, headphones, full albums, no singles, guys. You're not hearing that song. Here's it. This was another part that on the U.S. release was called, what was it called? The Haunting. It was like the last 45 seconds of this little weird part of the song. But Solitude, I love that. I thought it was a great song. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. So the next song that's coming up, when it comes up, is Lord of the World.
Well, don't forget Orchid.
Well, Orchid's coming up next.
Orchid's coming up next.
But the same thing. Orchid comes up next. Same thing. Instrumental, but it's great.
I like this
one.
I like this one better than Embryo. This one, yeah.
But so this one is less folk rock, because you said that one, and this is just Tony playing, dude. I thought this was actually excellent, and it had a great sound to it. You know, I was kind of surprised. Like I said, I've never really heard this album before to it whole, where I just sat down, played it, and didn't touch anything, hearing it through. When I heard this, I was like, damn, fucking Tony does awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe because at the time in the 70s, you know, these guys were pulling out an album a fucking year. There's 70, 71,
yeah, they had
72,
albums that were like 6
73.
months apart.
They were just
Cranking
these things out, you know. Was that the way they were? They went, they played. I think after this, if I'm correct, after this album is when they started to come to America and see it and play at, you know, okay, we're here. We have 3 albums under our belts. Let's go see America.
I think they may have come to America right before they did the recording this. I was watching, it was weird. I was just, because usually, you know, I like to watch a lot of documentaries and shit like that. And I found that there was, by the way, before the song's over, I think this blows Embryo out of the water.
Okay.
It
does. I'll
it's
agree with
simple,
you right
but it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's no D. It's no D. Yeah, and they were doing, I watched it, the reason it stuck out in my mind because they did a show at some private Catholic school. So there was this private Catholic school. I can't remember where in the U.S. it was.
Black Sabbath?
Yes, listen to my story. But their student body, like fundraising, whatever, president, all those kind of people, they had the idea of having bands come to their school to raise funds instead of having the plain old carnival and all that stuff. The first band that ever came and played at their school was The Who. In 1968, I believe they said. Black Sabbath was the last. They were also the highest grossing for their fundraising. They ended up bringing in like 8,000, grossing like 8,000, which would be like 60,000 today, they said. That's good. That's righteous bucks, bro. Listen to Ozzy right here. This is killer.
The song is called Lord of the World, right? I think this is a message.
Lord of this world.
Oh, sorry. Lord of this world. You know, when I look about it, it just seems Satan and how he becomes Lord of the world, Lord of this world. You know, it's a you know, due to the sinners, the song on the sets, you know, Satan's point of view is just how I really look at this. Satan's point of view on this song.
And people would look at that as being like, oh my God, these guys worship Satan, but they're looking at it as a point of view of like a warning.
Yeah.
If Satan comes here, are you going to give in to these temptations? Are you going to give in to these things? Are you going to follow his path of evil? Are you going to do the things that he bids you to do? Or are you going to be, I guess, the good Christian or a good human?
A good human. I'd just say that
and
way.
do the things that are right.
Correct.
And that's the thing that a lot of people in this time listening to music and a lot of the critics, they didn't understand that just because I'm talking about Satan and him, this is Satan's words as a first-person song, it doesn't mean that I'm saying Satan is good. It's just like the whole shout at the devil, shout with the devil kind of thing from Motley Crue. It's a warning. It's just saying like, hey man, Satan comes here and he starts trying to lead you down this path, are you going to follow him? You know, evil, are you going to follow evil? Are you going to do bad things? Are you going to do the righteous things and do the right things for yourself and your friends and your family and humanity? That's the warning of this song. And they cloak it under these drop tuning guitars, and Geezer dropped his bass also, so they were both drop tuning. Dude, this is deep, dark sounding music with almost a enlightening and like uplifting like lyrical content and ideas of these songs. I love it.
You know, this is the album that a lot of people said this is the start of Black Sabbath doing their doom metal sound, or like their stoner rock, stoner metal sound, or even the word sludge metal kind of came up because of the sound and what they're doing. Down tuning and making it sound louder or sound deeper, they did it. This is the album for it. This is just a killer album. We're in the song. When I mean song, I mean with lyrics. Song
7, I think.
Well, this is song 7, but still.
Song 6. We're on song 4. You're correct.
But actually, you know, 4
You're
songs.
Correct, sir.
It's just great, dude. I think it's great. There's a lot of things, and it makes you think. And like I said, and that's what Geezer did, because he was more the lyricist that he would say, I'm looking at this point of view.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, what if Satan would have come to the world? What would he do? He wants to be Lord of the world. This is what he would think.
I think it's such a great and interesting contrast when you take these like I had said earlier, these dark sounding guitars, these dark sounding basses, the eeriness, if you will, of Ozzy's voice, but you put them with lyrics that are, you know, After Forever is about, what are you going to do when you come to your deathbed? Are you going to look back on your life knowing you did right? Innocent, just in paraphrasing, Lord of this world, are you going to go back? Are you going to follow Satan, or are you going to do the righteous and do the good? It's just such a great contrast between the two. People just automatically thought that they were a satanic band because they sang about religious themes and Satan was involved in it, but it wasn't. It was a warning against don't do evil and don't do bad things.
Yeah, I heard Bill Ward also said, I went for a bigger drum sound, experimenting with overdubbing, like when he was doing his drums. Like I said, well, they did, 12 hours? They did 2 weeks, and now they had 3 months. He said they took their time, they did stuff, they experimented. They did a lot of different things, and they really made this album.
Take it easy,
really
Sweet
good.
Leaf.
I know, right? and here we go to the song that we kept on talking earlier, Solitude.
I just want to pause you one second. Just one. Lord of this World, that song. There are parts in there when they're just like jamming along that remind me of like grunge. Like the first band I think of when I hear that song is Soundgarden. It sounds like Soundgarden, that heavy guitar tone that they had. This album does not get its due credit. This is, like you said, the start of the sludge metal, start of the stoner metal. This is where this album has heavily influenced so many different styles of metal and rock. It's uncountable, and grunge is one of those genres that plucked exactly what they needed out of this album to make their sound successful.
The critics didn't like that, but here we go. 20 years later, bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Soundgarden, Nirvana down-tune their guitars to get a certain sound. So were they Black Sabbath or Tony and Geezer innovators? Of course they were, but it wasn't realized till 20 years later when other bands started to listen to them and play their own stuff. Well, I want to sound like this, but play my own stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I go back to what I was saying earlier. Greatness is kind of one of those things you have to look back in hindsight. You don't know how great something is until you see what it's done to the people in the future generations, how it's influenced them. That's why they have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you have to, it's like 25 years or 20 years after your first album, because you got to see what happens. There are things that people think are great that end up being dog shit. You know what I mean? People think things are great right now, and then they end up like, that was actually dog shit.
Can I tell you, when I first
You
heard
can tell
this,
me whatever you want, baby.
I didn't think Ozzy was singing on this.
I didn't either. I was like, first thing I did when I heard this song, I said, who in the band is singing this?
Yeah.
Then it was like, do they have a guest singer?
Yeah, I thought so too. I exactly. Now doing my homework and looking upon it, they said Ozzy was singing
Go ahead.
it.
I'm sorry.
They said Ozzy was singing it, and he, I don't know, down-tuned his voice or didn't try to scream. He just kind of sang in a normal voice or sang a little differently, and it works. And this song is clearly about the breakup and the feeling of solitude and being alone and all the things that come along with it.
Listen to that guitar.
I love it, dude.
See,
Well,
this one obviously they didn't down tune.
No.
This one is just like probably a standard tune. It just sounds so good.
But when you can listen to Bill Ward and playing the sleigh bells, he's not playing drums, he's not playing percussion, he's doing sleigh bells. Were they fucking singing Christmas fucking songs?
Shh. Sure, are you sure it's not Rudolph singing the song?
Dude, or what about Tony playing the flute
Is it Jethro Tull?
or the piano?
I love it.
This is on it. This is how experimental they got. These guys were doing great. They tried different instruments.
Yeah.
That's what made this album, and let alone this song, so beautiful and dark.
This song right here, Gregory, is the buried treasure of this band.
Yes.
And
Yes, totally. I agree with you.
I don't know if, and I'm in the same boat as you. And when we aren't going to sit here and try to act like we have heard every album or we know every album or every song. There are things, we've said it before, there are things we've missed. There are things we should have heard of. There's things we forgot.
Yeah.
There are albums that we're like, I've never even heard of it. And you're like, oh my God, it's like the best album. I may have heard this album in its entirety. I don't ever remember hearing it, but I remember hearing 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
Even that's half of them. I never remember hearing this song.
No.
So when we started listening to this and I got to hear this song, it was such a treat. It was such a treat for me, and I was like, "Oh my God, dude!" It was awesome. I loved it, dude.
This is the
highlight.
This is a sad, beautiful song, and it is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
These guys. I mean, you think Black Sabbath, you're thinking dark, you're thinking heavy, you're thinking all this, but you hear this song, and you're blown away. And now you have to really listen to it. You know, like, oh, I want to hear it. That's great. But if you're a listener, and like he says, we listen to whole albums, listen to this, and it's fucking
if you just listen
brilliant.
to Sweet Leaf. Oh, Children of the Grave. I don't know any of the other ones. Okay, what's the next album? You just missed all these other great songs.
Not even. No. After Forever and fucking this next song, Into the Void. Oh my God.
No, but I'm just saying.
I know
people that might be passing, just through the Black Sabbath album catalog. They're only going to listen to those 2 songs, and then they're going to move on. They're going to skip over everything else. That's why you got to listen to full albums all the time, every time.
Got it.
Into the Void, baby.
I love this.
What a closing track. You fucking kidding me?
So good. So good, man. Cheers. You know, to me, this is the Earth slowly destroying itself.
Yeah.
Where people, they're thinking, find a new planet and start over.
Yeah.
You know, things are going bad. And, if there is a heaven, heaven is peace and love. And they're saying leave Earth or find Earth, and Earth is hell. So they want to find a new place to go because they fucking destroyed what we have. And this is from 71. We're in 2025, and this song still resonates today. Look what we're doing. Look at everything we've gone through with environmentally. We're fucking it up. This is great.
Environmentally, socially, economically.
Yeah. Or history repeats itself. All the bullshit happened
Yeah.
in the 60s, 70s,
The cycle.
80s, 90s. It's going around again over and over again.
Ozzy back to that, iconic traditional Ozzy voice
Yeah.
right here. Just a different cadence. He doesn't have that like wailing sound. He's not like in War Pigs or Iron Man where he's really wailing on it. Nice, just like dun, 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 dun. And he did that a lot. That's why I really appreciate the different band they became when Ronnie James Dio joined it.
Oh, yeah.
Ozzy does a lot of singing, like on the cadence of the music. Like,
Yeah.
really, like listen to him. Where they could be playing this, and Ronnie would be meandering in and out of the music, and like he would be doing, and which let them expand and grow even more as a band. And I don't even know where I'm going with that, but I'm just trying to say he really does that a lot, Ozzy. That singing right with the music. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's his style. Just a little contrast there with when Ronnie came into the band.
Hey, the guys in the band talked about, they had 3 months to do this album.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. On the first 2 albums, they were booked other gigs.
Mm-hmm.
So they went from recording to booking to playing album to playing live. This, they just took the time and they didn't book anything else. So it was straight time only.
And I don't know what song it was, but I know Bill Ward was having some trouble with some drums on
Yes.
at least one of these songs.
I think
where
it was this one. I
where
think
he
it
had
was
to go to like 12 different studios and locations just to try to figure out
I think it was
and
this
get
one,
it
Into
together.
the Void. I think they were saying about that. It was Into the Void.
Sometimes, and all of them, I believe all of them have said at one point or another, and they probably said both ways, they wish they could have gone to the way that they recorded those first 2 albums. Get in there, let's play it live, let's get it done. Here, yes, it was great for them to explore, look at the greatness that came out of it, but they kind of wish they could have maybe sped it up a little bit.
I'm gonna bring up some stuff because I know we were chit-chatting, and then we can end the episode.
You got 2 minutes.
Got it, real quick. So Geezer wrote Sweet Leaf. We're gonna go back to the first song about the guy smoking weed or smoking dope, right? He says one night Ozzy bought Tony a joint, a large joint, and he said he started coughing. Well, the beginning part where the coughing, it was actually Tony on a loop, and kept on cutting over. I didn't even know that. I thought that was pretty funny. And Geezer also mentioned that Geezer had some cigarettes from Dublin, Ireland, which was called Sweet Afton, if I'm correct. And you can only get in Ireland. He says, and they were writing about Sweet Leaf, and it was like it's the sweetest leaf that gives you the taste. So that was the inspiration for him to write Sweet Leaf, even though it was kind of. You're not really supposed to talk about marijuana, but he was talking about Sweet Leaf being the cigarette / marijuana. That was what I wanted to say from the first part of the when we were talking about Sweet Leaf, but it was just fucking, these guys are crazy, and that's the story of that kind of stuff where they just,
I love it.
What are they what are they doing? What do you got? What should we write about? And Geezer said, I'm gonna write about
their
cigarettes.
love affair with marijuana. That's what Sweet Leaf's about. Their love affair with marijuana. Hey guys, this is the Big Talk Podcast with Chris and Greg. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at bigtalkcg.podcast. You can also get a hold of us, bigtalkcg@gmail.com, for long-winded gripes, comments, and affairs of love. We'll be back soon with another episode. Master of Reality, Black Sabbath. Love it. Take us out, Greg.
All right, like it says, like when Chris started off this episode, we wanted to talk that Ozzy came up, Black Sabbath came up, all the bands that are playing. I think they're playing in July 5th is on a Saturday. This is the start of it. I hope it goes through. I hope there's one more gig for everyone out there. Ozzy, take care. We'll see ya, everybody. We love you. See ya.